All I have is misremembering. There's no option for purposefully doing this.
I don't need to do this intentionally.
Recreationally.
It happens.
No,
it just happens. Recreational forgetting.
Welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
I'm a little eepy from the weekend, David.
A little EP. Oh, yeah. It was a big weekend.
My good friend David came to visit me in my place. And, you know, we had a rowdy, rambunctious time. We played Mario Party, played Smash. We played Smash at, I think, probably the earliest hour that I've ever played Smash Brothers.
I think I asked you to play Smash at like 8:30 in the morning, and you're just early. Like, I cannot. It must be at least after 9. This is not allowed otherwise.
It's never something that I've consciously thought about, but like I don't think at any point that I was really truly playing a lot of Smash was I waking up with any regularity that early. Mm-hmm. You know, like the days where I was playing a ton of Smash and would want to play it right when I wake up, I wasn't getting up before fucking 9 for sure. Well, no.
Probably because you were staying up until like 2 a.m. playing Smash the night before. So. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. But this time, bright and early, got to play Smash.
A little morning Smash to get the blood running. Who needs coffee after that, right?
I get it. But anyway, as a result, I'm filled up on David energy, but I'm filled down on just regular standard energy. Yeah.
I get it. Especially after traveling, I'm like, man. That was a weekend. Weekend right there.
And notably, I did none of the traveling. I drove to the airport to get you, and that's pretty much it.
That is not without expending energy doing that. Sure. Right? It's kind of far.
I would say navigating an airport, getting on an airplane, and like navigating out of another airport is notably higher than me pressing the gas and listening to the Dead Kennedys for a half an hour. You know, SeaTac does have a lot of different trains you have to go to. It's giving me man. Persona 5 vibes when I had to figure out the entirety of Tokyo's subway system. I was just like, I don't know. I'm on the gold line. I'm going to the blue. What is happening right now? It is confusing. They don't make it easy, despite the fact there truly are only 3 stops on that tram and it goes in a circle. Somehow they don't make it easy to navigate.
But there's 2 trams, though.
Oh, yeah. It's bizarre.
There's 2 lines and then another line that connects the 2 of them.
It's silly. It's a very silly place.
It's like MGS2. It's the... what is the name of that place where most of the game takes place where you're right in?
The Big Shell.
It's like the Big Shell.
Yeah.
It's like the Big Shell.
And you, in this case, were Raiden? Who do you feel most attached to in the MGS cast 2?
I was naked, so I guess I was Raiden.
You were nude in the airport. That's a interesting development.
Who knows? Maybe I was. You don't know.
I mean, I wasn't there, but I sort of feel like there would have been some kind of news story about local Peruvian man bombards SeaTac airport with nude body.
I did feel exposed because I was just running all over the place because we were getting a little late on the flight.
To be fair, like
we got there.
There are very few places where when you see an adult running and they're not in workout gear, it is a little alarming.
Yeah.
Which is silly. Like adults,
is this the revolution? What's going on?
Yeah, I usually will look behind them to see like what is pursuing this human.
Yes.
But I feel like of all the places, an airport, people get it. They see you and you're like, well, yeah, like sometimes you got to run in here.
Got to do it.
Hey, I know most of the games you played over the weekend. What else you got? What games you been playing? What are you doing there?
Besides the games I played with you, I have also played. I played a lot of Balatro on the plane.
Yeah, it's just the flight eater of a video game.
It's a great time killer on the plane. It's only like a 2.5 hour flight from Santa Barbara to Seattle. But man, it was great. It was great. It's still a very, very good game. I didn't even realize we were landing until like a couple seconds beforehand. And Mallory like nudged me and pointed outside. And I was like, oh God, I need to brace myself a little bit. We're about to hit the ground. So that was great. I played that on the way back as a nice little cool down from running around the airport.
Yeah.
On the way there, though, I did play quite a bit of 1000X Resist.
Yeah, I was thrilled about this news.
this game is crazy. This game is
really
very,
wild,
very well done. I love the sound effects. It just starts off with a bang, just someone getting stabbed in the back. You have no idea what the fuck is going on, but it's just so cool and slick. You're just like, yeah, I'm here for it. The whole entire conceit of the game, you know, with this woman who is not affected by this virus, essentially just like cloning herself to, you know, make like a little religion dedicated to her is pretty fun. And then very alarming when you find out that, or at least as far in the game that I am, that she was kind of an asshole back in the day. Well, I mean, high school student. So it's like high school kids are assholes, but she seemed to be more of an asshole than other ones in that high school, at least.
There is a cruelty to Iris for sure. Yeah. And I think it's the first shot in the game, not like physical shot, but just like it's the first moment where you get to see like it's very odd that these people worship this woman as a god, and yet she is extremely fallible in these like communions that you're doing, which are essentially just like memories of Iris.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting video game.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten too far. Yeah. I'm still in the high school. I need to go and check out and chat with the principal in the gym now. That's the next thing to do. But I really enjoyed the time skipping mechanic, you know, switching between, or I should say it's time switching mechanic, switching between essentially like the present time-ish, modern time, and then like the deep future as well was cool to see just how bad things have gotten. And I always enjoy that kind of, you know, it's going to be some bad shit coming on the horizon, just like the gradual tension building of like a calamity slowly unfolding. It's always an interesting thing to observe in any sort of media. So yeah, I'm having fun with that game.
Yeah, I really hope that you're able to stick with it and it holds your attention for a while. Yeah. Obviously, like I was a huge fan of this game. Still am, in fact.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I hope it lands for you at least like okay, you know, because I think there's a lot to love in there.
I have a feeling I'm going to stick with it. Even just beyond the story and the mechanics, it's just a fun game to look at and experience visually and auditorily. I think the music and the sound effects are just really cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get through this one. This one's fun.
Yeah, I hope so. I would love to hear about it from your perspective.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily feel like a traditional David game to me too. I feel like usually you like yours a little chunkier with the mechanics.
Sure.
That like you enjoy a deep mechanical experience, but like Thousand Times Resist has some of that. But it's not. That's definitely not the focus of it. You know.
Sure. Yeah, I'm coming at it with the perspective of like this is going to be kind of like a visual novel experience more than anything else, and I feel like Metaphor and to even more of an extent Persona has gotten me a little bit more used to that.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely like it manages to, I think, break containment of the genre of visual novel.
Yes.
And adds to it in a certain way. But like, I think that's a pretty close approximation of what's going on in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sunset Visitor, the developer, they notably, I think, wanted to make it a game where you control a character in 3D. So there's some intentionality behind not just like making it a straight up visual novel where you're seeing like, you know, people on one side talking to people on the other. And then that's really it, you know. Sure. There is more to it. So I think it culminates in a good way, but there is it's a dialogue and story heavy game for sure.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about this game is that for someone like myself who is somewhat colorblind, the parts of the levels where you have to find those little like orbs to teleport to,
zip to,
that was difficult at some points for me because those levels, if I remember, were like an orangey hue or yellowy hue, and these things you're warping to were red, and I was like, where? Where is it? I don't know. But I still got through. It wasn't a huge problem, but I'm like, you're using colors in a cool way. But that one was a little tough for me.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is sort of a shame because there is such a big use of color in this game. And like pretty specifically some of the primaries, you know, like blue, red, and green all play a very prominent role in the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still remarkable. So it's not like that's going to ruin the experience for you.
No, not at all.
But it is sort of a bummer that they, you know, can't really get that one in there for you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I
guess that's true, huh?
So besides that, I've also still just been keeping up with Cat Quest 3, Persona, And there was one more that I was playing, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. Oh, Returnal. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I've still been playing those off and on. But yeah, the weekend is like my big time to play games. And I just played a lot of Smash with my friend.
That's true.
A lot of Smash.
It's a very good video game, the Smash Brothers.
Yeah. It's still excellent, and it still feels very fresh, I think, for both of us, because the game kept on releasing characters after we had stopped playing it religiously. So when you main random like I do, it still keeps things pretty interesting when you get a new character and you're like, I don't know what you are, who you are, what you do. It's kind of a shock, but it's fun to learn new things.
Yeah, there's still plenty in there that I simply don't know how to play. Pyre and Mithra from, I think, Xenoblade, if that's even how you say their names. Those are just a total mystery to me. The ARMS characters, I have no idea how to play.
Min.
Yeah, Min.
Sora, Hero, Steve.
Yeah, Steve is just, he seems so complicated because you have to do so much Minecraft shit.
Yeah, and you really got to mine.
Yeah, I need to watch a YouTube tutorial to figure out how to play as Steve, Sora, I bet I know how to play, just having played Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I bet I could figure it out. But Steve, I'm like, dude, how do I play Minecraft in Smash Bros?
Do you think that Sakurai will release a new skin for Steve that's just Jack Black when the new movie comes out?
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, I think Sakurai is working on some other shit. I think he's doing something else right now.
I'm interested. New Kirby?
I mean, it could be new Kirby. That would be cool. I hope they let him do something else. He's been doing Smash for so long.
Just have him slaving away in the back. The door is locked.
Yeah, he seems to, I think, at the very least, he likes the game that he made. There's a lot of pride in it, clearly. But it also seems like it's kind of killing him. He's like, I don't want to make Smash anymore.
He's really put his blood, sweat, and tears into this game.
Truly. And to be fair, it shows a lot. It's one of the best fighting games, in my opinion. And the ability to pull in so many different characters from so many different worlds and have them all feel perfect. None of the characters feel off, and that's an impossibility. Being able to put Sora in and I've played as him before, and just the jump feels perfect. It's exactly what it is in Kingdom Hearts, it's so hard to pull that off. And so I don't know if it's just him or the entire team there, but they've got the feel for what a game needs to feel like just so down. I liked Multiverses, but Smash is just a 10 out of 10 with game feel. And even Multiverses being a 9 or an 8 is well, it's not perfect,
Yeah.
It's really wild. It's as if there was only one driving game, And
this one nailed it. No one else even tried.
Yeah, no one could do it. But at the same time, people have tried to make driving games, and they're just well, it's no fucking Gran Turismo, dog.
Yeah. Well, that was the case with Gran Turismo for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you wanted a racing sim, it was kind of just Gran Turismo for a second. But even still, just it's so wild how well they do with that series. So I would love to see what else he could do. I wasn't crazy about the Kid Icarus game on, I think it was 3DS. I wasn't a huge fan of the Kid Icarus game, but I do want to see what else he can do, I would love for it not to just be Smash Brothers. At the same time, I will definitely play more Smash Brothers. So
absolutely.
I
do you let someone else touch Smash Bros?
I think so. I mean, they're going to have to, I think, eventually. Someone will have to take these reins. And in a way, it feels like Smash Ultimate is the culmination of Sakurai's vision for what Smash Bros is. And to me, it would make sense to try somebody else at this point. Who else's idea of what this game could be can we check out? Or what other team's vision could we make happen? Just because it's kind of got the Mario Kart problem right now of I don't even know what else I want from this series.
Yeah, where else can they go from here?
And I don't think, to me, this is, there could be many other things, but to me, if you wanted to make a change, I think you would have to make a pretty dramatic shift in how the game works or feels or something, to the point where it maybe wouldn't feel exactly like these Smash Brother games. I think Melee 4 and Ultimate all feel kind of in a similar realm, even if they do feel a little bit different. And then 64 is kind of its own thing just because it was like so early in that process.
Yeah.
But like, you know, what does it look like to have like a game that's maybe either faster or slower or heavier or anything, you know, just like, I feel like those are the kind of things you would want to check out. Or, you know, a game that has a much smaller cast.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. I don't know what the future of Smash Bros. Looks like.
Maybe you make a Smash Bros. Where you can choose the type of combat from which game you want it to be from. Like you're like, I'll play some Melee today with all these characters, and then everyone's wave dashing. Or you do for Brawl style and everyone's tripping all over the place this time.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
It'd be interesting. Yeah. I mean, like there's so many ways you could tackle it, but I think like just making another good Smash Brothers feels like kind of the least interesting path there.
It's true.
They could. And like that's obviously the safe bet, but honestly, I don't see Nintendo always doing the safest thing. Sometimes they're wacky with it and they just do the weirdest choice possible.
Super Smash Bros. Dating sim.
I mean, that's me, man. I'm in. I want to do
roguelike dating sim with a factory building component.
I mean, that's not even Smash Bros. At this point, but I would play that. I would definitely absolutely play that. I mean, I guess another alternative too is like maybe take the single player a little bit more seriously, like make that a bigger component of the game. They have one in this one, but like, you know.
How do you make that feel interesting though?
I don't know.
So many fighting games have tried to do that and it just never really pans out. It just always feels like a lesser than version of the main fighting game, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they would do.
I feel like
get Sony and Microsoft to do a joint Smash Bros. Game.
Yes, yeah. Truly everyone's here.
Everyone's here.
I think you would have to like... I had a good time with one of the Soul Calibur story modes, I think. And I think it was just that they had enough stuff in between the fights that I was kind of interested in what was going on.
Sure.
Which I think is kind of a tough sell for Nintendo stuff. Like the story has to be pretty simple for most of the characters. Like you don't have like, you know, the dark history of Diddy Kong or whatever to rely on, you know, like I don't think you can really do that. Or like who is Mario's dad and why is he the Dark Lord? Oh, maybe.
You could do Injustice, but it's evil Mario this time.
Yeah, he's Superman. He's trying to kill all the other Nintendo characters.
Why not? Bowser has to fight against him.
Oh man, yeah, Bowser is like the main character, would be pretty sick.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's I'm really interested in what they do with it, but I think like maybe the smart move is to do nothing with it for a little while.
Let it sit, let it marinate.
Yeah, like it reminds me of the moment, and it's not a perfect analog, but it reminds me of the moment prior to Breath of the Wild coming out, where like Zelda had been doing a certain kind of Zelda for a long time. Yeah. And that's, you know, kind of disregarding the fact that like the 2D Zeldas were also existing and doing shit, but I'm just kind of thinking of the 3D ones. And Skyward Sword is definitely not an equivalent to Smash Ultimate. Like I think Smash Ultimate is a very, very good game, and Twilight Sword is, Skyward Sword rather, is much more complicated vision of a Zelda game.
Yes.
But they'd been doing that for so long that it's kind of like they had it down pretty pat as far as like the structure and what has to happen and like how that game functions. And then to come out with Breath of the Wild and just say like, we are totally changing everything is interesting. And in some ways going back to what the original Zelda was. But I feel like to make Smash interesting, you would need that level of a change, which is just like, that's so hard to do for a fighting game, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or maybe they just need to put out a bad one, like just truly a terrible Smash Brothers.
Bad Smash.
Yeah.
Oh, has 4 characters. That's it.
Yeah, you got none. It's it's Wolf, Bayonetta, Steve, and who's the Nightmare?
Terry.
And what?
Terry.
And Terry. That's correct. Yeah, those 4 are the only ones you get. There are no mainline Mario characters on that.
Who were you going to say?
I was racking my brain for just like, who is the Nightmare Blunt rotation? The 4th member of that one. Just like the worst possible character to add into a Smash Brothers.
Yeah, no disrespect to Terry, but it's just funny to have Terry there.
It's so bizarre.
His name is Terry.
His name is Terry. He plays like an entirely different video game in there.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Okay. And like the way you move, there's only 2 ways to move. You jump or you wave dash, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you try to just do directional input, you like jump off the stage. You have to wave dash.
Mm-hmm.
Totally inscrutable. There will be like 3 people who think it's the best video game ever made, and everybody else will be like, I think I'm going to skip this one, man.
I'm out on this one.
Yeah. Smash Bros was great. I loved playing Smash Bros.
Who ended up winning? Who ended up winning the most kills?
I feel like day 2, I got clapped. That's just true. I remember that clear as day. I don't know about that first day because I feel like I was ahead for a lot of it, and we didn't.
You were, but I came back,
down.
baby.
See, it feels like we're kind of preying on me not remembering.
Back.
I don't know
came
about
back,
all this.
baby. I think you're misremembering or purposefully forgetting.
No, see, I'm too dense to purposefully misremember. All I have is misremembering. There's no option for purposefully doing this.
Yeah, I don't need to do this intentionally.
Recreationally.
It happens.
No,
it just happens. Recreational forgetting.
Oh, God. Strictly a business relationship with forgetting. I got clapped the second day. I got like even more clapped when we played Mario Party. I got full blown 4th. You and I just like stabbed each other for 45 minutes while our better halves tried as best they could to win Mario Party while we were just like wrestling down in the muck.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the phrase going to get together to the bottom came up quite often.
Yes. Yeah. It was mutually assured destruction because I knew you would come after me and I have to return in kind. Mm-hmm. And that was just it. We just like stole stars from each other, tried to fuck each other up, constantly messing with each other. And then sure enough, shocker, your wife won, which to be honest, I was happy about. That was a good outcome for me.
It was a good outcome and it was close between the 2 of them. It was very close between the 2 of them.
Yeah. It came down to coins, which was cool.
Yeah. Both of us were very much out of it, which is appropriate for the way that we handled ourselves, I guess, right?
Yeah, it feels like a punishment that I was hoping to receive, you know, like if one of us had won, it would have been like, how? Like we shouldn't be rewarded for this kind of behavior.
Exactly. This was bad behavior. I was on my worst behavior this whole time. I should not have won.
Yeah, exactly.
But still a good time. Still fun to wrestle with you.
Yeah, of course. Got to get down there and grapple. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mario Party good.
That's all I was playing, Chase. What did you play?
I played some video games. Let me see. Would you like basketball or...
I'm going to tell you right now it's basketball.
Okay, great. I'll just start with that one. I decided to pick up the game called Pyre, David.
Oh, that's basketball?
Kind of, yeah.
Has LeBron James?
Yeah, LeBron's in this one. It's all these very odd, sort of underworldly looking creatures, and also LeBron is in there. This is a Supergiant game. Supergiant, for anybody who doesn't recognize that immediately, is the developer at this point famously for Hades, but also Bastion and Transistor and Hades 2 as well. Mm-hmm. And Pyre was a game that I had never engaged with. I haven't played this yet. And it's got sort of an odd reputation because like, I think anybody, or not anybody, but most people who get their hands on Hades are like, I would like 20 of these, please. Like,
yes. Yeah.
I will continue to play this for the rest of my life. And as many of these as you want to make, I will play those too.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
And I think Bastion at the time when it came out, that there was a similar response. It wasn't exactly the same, but people were like, this is an amazing indie game. Like it is truly incredible. Feels great. The novelty of the narrator kind of just like, you know, putting to words whatever you're doing and it feeling very personal was, I think, a hit at the time and definitely informed their design moving forward. Transistor is sort of a departure because it is like a tactics game in a way. Yeah. I think we played that last year and both of us walked away like pretty satisfied with it.
It was fun.
It was a good game. But Pyre is definitely the biggest departure from any of their other shit.
Oh, really?
It is this game where you are in this sort of like purgatory. You wake up and you've somehow been like harmed in some way. And these 3 people show up and they're like, hey, are you potentially a reader like of the rites? And apparently the rites are these like this kind of ritual that you can do wherein you like read the stars and read this like book that they have. and it will take you through this ritual and to culminate and hopefully be able to escape this purgatory place and go back to what they call the Commonwealth, which is like, I think just kind of general society. And that's sort of the setup, but the game itself, the way that you participate in these rites is you will go to these different places and you will kind of play a version of basketball and rugby against a team that is also playing basketball. Yes, it is so strange. It's like essentially the way that this works is that each team has a sort of like base. There's like, it kind of looks like a hoop in the ground or a hole in the ground. And there's this ball in the middle of the court, and any one of your characters can move, but they only can do so one at a time. So like you are only controlling one person at a time. Everybody has like a different speed, different ability to like run or jump or anything like that. And the intent is that you have to take the ball and put it in your opponent's hoop. And you can pass the ball between people. There's also this mechanic of like, if you have the ball, you are like vulnerable to attack. And if you're not, then you have this like aura around you that if you even like touch somebody else, they're like banished momentarily.
Whoa.
And so it's this interesting kind of push and pull of, trying to make sure that you're safe enough on your side, that you have a little bit of leeway of room to get around people. Even when you don't have the ball, you can do like an attack that is like, it is straight up the magic attack from Hades, like the little like, there's like an attack range that shows up on the screen. And if you like pull off the button quick enough, it does more damage, like very Hades shit. And yeah, it's a fascinating game, like just the actual game part of it. And it feels very sporty. Like it feels like a sport.
I was about to say, I'm watching videos of this. I'm like, this is a sport game?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It very much feels like that.
Yeah.
In the design of the game, the Supergiant, like the creators were talking about how they wanted to force the player to confront failure regularly. And they're like, we don't have a great way of doing that. And like also having stakes, like it,
sure.
If you're killing enemies, like what does failure mean? And of course, the answer that I think is probably better suited is a roguelike like Hades, right? Like failure means something in Hades, and it's interesting to have to do it over and over again. But in this game, I think they do sort of the inverse, where when you fail, you just keep going, like you don't like get to a fail state and have to start over. It's like, you just have to kind of eat the loss. And that they said like sports is kind of a good fit for that, because often, like when you lose, it's not like you don't when
die,
the Kings
just
lose a game, they don't get put in a pit and then sent to hell.
Sometimes it feels like I get put in a pit after they lose, but that's just part of it.
Yeah, they do it to the fans. It feels that way for us, but the players are the same in the next game. So like, it forces you to sort of live with the fact that you weren't able to perform in the way that you wanted to.
Whoa. It's too real.
And it's interesting. And so I like that approach. It is such a different vision of what this, like what games are. And I'm always looking for like sports, but with story. And I think that like Pyre is that to some extent, like I always want, the good basketball story in a game. And
like the NBA 2K25 story doesn't do it for you?
It doesn't. Yeah. It's not really my thing. But it like this one is closer, and obviously like, this is Supergiant. So all of the characters are very interesting in their own right. You get a lot of time between like these games because you're having to choose like where to go and what direction to do and what like shop to visit and, what little events you're going to between the games. And all of the characters have like feelings about that, and you can talk to them and see what's going on and see their, their backstory. Of course, you pick up more than just the original 3 that you've got in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so like all of that's great. And I really enjoy the character writing. Like you can easily see how both the character writing and specifically the character portraits in this game feed directly into Hades. Like it's fascinating.
Hot.
Everyone's hot, and just like the art style that they got in there. Yeah, Darren Korb also did the music for this, and so it'll sound familiar if you've played any other games. So like obviously that's incredible, and I'm gonna spoil part of the conceit of this game. So like if you're really worried about it, maybe skip ahead, put timestamps in here. I'm not gonna play the Wii music. I just
just get out of here.
Just get out of here. That said, this is in I think most of the reviews for this game. So like it's an important part of the read of the game.
Sure.
But once you get to the end of the first rite and, hopefully have gotten there without too much trouble. They reveal that, so these rites, this ritual, it can actually send someone back to the Commonwealth, back to like normal society. They were hoping it was going to do it for everybody, but you can only do one person at a time.
Whoa.
And because you, the player, aren't participating in these games, like you're not a visualized character. It's just you. You can't ever return. So like you are not somebody who can go back to the Commonwealth.
Whoa.
And so right before the last rite, you have to choose someone that will potentially be the person to escape. And there is also pretty shortly before this, there is a character that starts introducing the idea that like, listen, the Commonwealth and regular society is unfair and like corrupted in a certain way. Like justice is not a very commonplace thing to take place out there. And so like his proposition was like, we need to send people back from here that we know can make change in the Commonwealth. Because like we've seen this other side. We've, been here for a while, and like there's a different perspective to the people who have come from here. And so like, he's essentially saying like, I'm kind of starting a bit of a revolution in the Commonwealth, and like we need to try and do that like carefully and see who's like, who can go up there.
Yeah.
And so there's this bizarre balance that you have to start to choose. This happens as the game goes on. If you get back there, then you have to choose somebody else again. But like you have to try and decide like, okay, narratively, who is going to make the biggest impact up there?
Yeah.
But also like, I can't like send off my center player, like.
Sure. Yeah.
I need somebody who can put the fucking ball in the hoop. And so
I can't just get rid of my star player. I need them here. You're too good at your job. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's this interesting thing. And I think they reveal it at a perfect moment, because you've had enough time to get to know these characters a little bit and already feel the loss of like, oh God, like I can't give this person up. But also like they all have very compelling reasons why they don't want to be there anymore, like, or even just like some of them have been there longer than others. And so like, do you feel like maybe they have earned an earlier spot? A fucked up thing too is like you might fail that last rite, like the last part of the game essentially, and that person won't leave. Like they just won't. And you can really only do these rites so many times. And so I think by far the most interesting thing about this game is just like how it views both collective action and like justice in a way, because the game is very careful not to say like, well, we need to send Superman back up top because he's the one who can fix this whole thing,
Yep.
They're much more careful to like say who is going to like become a very good part of the group and what group will be able to do this well. And so like that's very interesting, and also just from the perspective of like who is worthy of getting out of here, like is there such a thing even of being like earning quote unquote your freedom? Obviously with the history that like my dad has with the Inside Circle Foundation and the sort of like prisoner rehabilitation kind of stuff, and like genuinely wanting to see recidivism go down. Yeah. That informs my perspective on this game too, of like, seeing a group of people and seeing that some of them won't get out. Like that is not a thing that they can do. And all the while still trying to like build a better world from the inside. That really reminds me of this experience and like what they're talking about in this game, just because like they're, you yourself can never leave this place. Like it's not an option for you. And so like, how do you choose? Obviously that's not how the prison system works. It's not like they nominate like the world's best prisoner to get out of there. But there are people who can get let out on parole, And so like, how does that work? And like, is there such a thing as somebody who has like really, earned it in some way? I would say that the answer is pretty clear. No, it's a lot grayer than that. Yeah. But like also that in some ways, at least in the program that Dad was a part of or is a part of, like oftentimes those guys who have gone through this thing and like have come out are truly the best messenger for that kind of shit, like here's what I went through in my life. Here's how, the Inside Circle Foundation stuff has changed it. And, we truly can build a better future for like either people who are in prison or like even kids who who are kind of messing around with like crime or like gangs and shit like that, and seeing like, is there a better path forward, you know? And like, it's not, again, similar thing. It's not one person. It's just like, it is this collective group that are all trying to push in one direction. And it's like hard and oftentimes doesn't get the kind of traction that you would hope for, but you know, they see people get better and like see recidivism numbers go down. Is that right? Recidivism is when they go back, right? So like going down would be the good thing.
You want recidivism down.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
They see that. And so like it's a very bizarre experience playing this game because it is, you know, I don't think it's specifically invoking sort of the like parole system with prisoners or anything, but like it speaks to that experience for sure. And just like, I think it's much more focused on like, you know, who gets to be free, who gets to, you know, go back and like try to make a change. And like, what does it look like to, as a group, come together and try to do that? And like, there's basketball in it. So like, that's also cool.
It's so wild.
It's nuts. Yeah. It's, I feel like it makes sense why they chose to do the narrative that they did in Hades. Like it's much cleaner. Like it is a much more obvious topic to discuss. And like a lot of the narrative beats and the themes in Hades are much more closely tied to the characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's kind of a familial drama and just like the themes of like this kind of father-son relationship being broken and having to try and like not mend it immediately, but try to get through it in a way that is like pretty understandable. But like, I think it's a much bigger topic to try and talk about like, how do we make lasting change in society? You know, like that's a harder topic to tackle in a video game.
It's a little grayer, right?
For sure. Yeah. Like,
can you really make the right decision when these are the choices you're making? Is
there a right decision? Who is quote unquote worthy of being in the Commonwealth, all that sort of stuff. Like that's murky, interesting, a murky, interesting narrative to explore, but one that I think is like harder to get across. And so like, I think a lot of the writing and the narrative in Hades is like cleaner in a way that they have, they got really good at telling exactly the story that they wanted to. But like, I love Pyre specifically for the ambition of trying to communicate any of that. It's hard to do.
That's impressive.
It is cool. So yeah, it's like, I try not to compare games too much, but when I'm thinking about Supergiant, I'm always just like checking out like which one is the one that I like the most and which one's interesting. And like, I think the most honest answer is that they're all so different that like
they've all been so different.
Impossible to compare them. Like the closest analog I think is Bastion to Hades. Like they're not so far away. They're different. They're doing different things entirely, but like the combat's top down and you know, you're fighting a lot of people. Like that kind of seems similar, but it's like impossible to compare Pyre to any of the other games in their catalog. But all that said, I do really like it. I have had a good time with it and think it's very interesting.
Were the mechanics fun too? Like, is the actual basketball game entertaining? Engaging?
I like it. Yeah, it's initially pretty easy. Like I was a little bit worried, like, am I just going to cruise through this game? And I do wonder if they intentionally kind of lull you into a false sense of security with the game so that when you do lose, it is like pretty devastating.
Yeah.
But it does feel like they go easy for the first little while, but then you do start to have to like lose more, or at least it felt that way to me, that like the enemies were getting quite a bit harder. And again, like the enemies on the other team, like they are characters as well. It's not just like nameless, faceless people. And so it's very interesting to see like recurring characters come back up and be like, you know, hey, you guys beat us last time. We're about to kick your ass. And like, here's why, or like, here's the beef that we have with this character specifically.
It's like grudge matches.
Kind of, yeah. Like there's plenty of characters who like, they'll say like, I don't want to play in this game. I have way too much like personal connection with this person, or like, you know, this is why this person is trying to like beat us in the rights or whatever. All that stuff is really, really cool. But yeah, I think like the basketball of it all is fun. It is not as satisfying as Hades, like just to me.
Sure.
I think that the way that game feels is unbelievable.
That's a high bar to try to cross.
Yes. Yeah. But like, you know, if I'm looking at this next to like NBA Jam or something like that, like it still feels pretty good. Like it's in that realm. So like I like that part of it a lot. I think it's really interesting. So that's Pyre by Supergiant.
Awesome.
Yeah. The other game that I've been checking out is a game called Split Fiction, David.
Ooh, yes. Let's hear it.
Okay, so Split Fiction is the most recent game by Hazelight Studios, which you will know as the developers of It Takes Two.
They hate elephants.
They hate elephants. What's the other one? Way Out, and it's also a very similar team to Brothers. It's about your two sons. Which we did that is a reference to an episode that we did with Kim and AJ way back when. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you and I both walked away from Brothers thinking it was pretty good, right?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did.
It was a good one. I haven't played A Way Out. I tried with AJ one time, and like they wanted us to sign into some EA server, and I just couldn't do it.
Oh, like you physically couldn't do it, or morally couldn't do it?
Physically, I tried. Like they put me in the loop where they're like, your account's all fucked up, you have to reset your password. I'm like, okay, and then did that, and then they just like sent me back to the beginning and said, your password's fucked up, you have to reset it. And then I would do it, and then they would send me back there. I'm like, I don't think I'm playing this game. Like, this is not gonna happen.
You had to sign in with Facebook. That was the problem.
Probably, yeah. No, my Zynga account had lapsed or something.
You needed to allow them access to post on your Facebook feed all the times that you played A Way Out.
So I didn't play that one. Em and I played It Takes Two, and like I think that game was fun. Both of us thought the writing was pretty rough, and like didn't really like the characters very much.
Yeah, that's fair.
That like they were just kind of not really that redeemable in a lot of ways, and were quite cruel to one another. And also the Book of Love, I just hated whenever that man showed up. I was just like, God damn it! There's another cutscene with this weird guy.
Yep.
But the game itself, the actual physical like act of playing the game, we both enjoyed. It's for anybody who hasn't played those games, they almost always involve some kind of like co-op play. Mm-hmm. And I think a very fun thing that they usually do is that the game will offer either people pretty different things to do depending on like what character they're playing as. And that's like a pretty fun experience because it forces you to approach a problem from very different angles. Like, you know, one of you will have like a little slingshot or something, and the other one will have like a grappling hook or something like that. And so you have to like, any problem that you see, one of you will have to do one thing and the other one will have to do another. And like that's a fun loop. They have made a very good loop out of that.
Yeah.
And that every level typically equips you with something different so that it's not really outweighing or outlasting its welcome. And so like, I just find that game design idea pretty fun, especially for like Em and I, because we get to play it together.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they put out Split Fiction recently, which it's a similar kind of game. It is a co-op game, and you play these two unpublished writers who are going into this big nameless, faceless corporation with the promise of being published writers.
Uh-huh.
You get there and they're like, okay, it's going to be so sick for you as writers soon. We do need you to get into these weird sci-fi suits though, so that we can put you into your stories a little bit better.
Did the Lumen Goons make them do that?
The Lumen Goons. I mean, it's a little luminy in that way.
Sure.
But so there's two main characters. One of them is, Mio and Zoe are the two characters. And one of them, Mio, writes science fiction stuff and Zoe writes fantasy.
Cool.
And both of them are like, well, that doesn't seem like a publishing deal, but I'll put on your sci-fi suit anyway. And then
both of them are interested. They're like, I'll see where this goes.
Mio is definitely more like, this seems sketchy, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Uh-huh.
And then they cut to another scene. They're like, all right, you just need to stand on these platforms and we'll do some cool stuff. And Mio's like, that's weird. And then sees all of these people, a little like orb appears around them and they like kind of fall back into this like stasis.
Uh-huh.
And she sees that happen to everybody, and she's like, hey, fuck this. And then accidentally
Is she the fantasy writer or the sci-fi writer?
This is the sci-fi writer. Mm. And she kind of gets into a little scuffle and then falls into the orb with Zoe.
Gotcha.
Just right off the bat. The writing is bad. It is true. Like, I am being optimistic, and I like a lot of this game.
Yeah.
The writing is quite bad. It is totally unbelievable that like anybody would do this, let alone like this person who is already skeptical of it. Like, it's not like they just showed up in a room and they like pulled a lever and the floor fell out and they went here. They had to go into like a bathroom and put on this fucking cyber suit, you know, like, and go back in there and be like, so what about my publishing deal? And they're like, no, soon we can talk about, like, just leave, you know, like,
yeah.
You don't have to be here. All of the dialogue is very stilted, very odd. The voice actors seem to be doing an okay job with it, but just like truly the words on the page are like, this doesn't feel realistic in any way.
Yeah. The story is a vehicle to make interesting gameplay mechanics.
To play games. Yeah. Like every other dialogue option is essentially what ends up happening is that like you get pulled into one of their worlds at a time. And so like the machine that they're in is making manifest the worlds that they have written, or even the worlds that they have idealized, they've thought of. And so you kind of bounce back and forth between like, okay, this is Mio's world, this is Zoe's world. And they are like, I think the besties Justin McElroy over on the besties had talked about this, but like, it is kind of remarkable that like, these are sci-fi and fantasy writers, and it is so generic, the worlds that you are going to. It's like, this one is just cyberpunk. This one is just like a village with some trolls in it and stuff like that. Like
that's why they're unpublished.
I mean, that's a hilarious explanation that like they're just not very good, you know? Yeah, like it feels like the end of every dialogue is them being like, well, I guess we got to play the video game now, and just like keep going. That's not what they're saying, but it's essentially what they're getting at is like, I don't know what's going on, but we should keep playing the video game and play and figure out what's going on.
I guess I got to use this grappling hook.
Yes. Yeah. And so like, I think going into it with eyes wide open that like, if you're looking for story, it ain't here. It is just not here. But the video game part of it is still very fun. It is really, really good. And they do that formula that they are good at again. It is, I would say, a little bit harder than It Takes Two. Like there are definitely like you are wall running and jumping and dashing through the air and shit like that pretty regularly. And so like there is a little bit more complication to the mechanics, but it all still really works. Like I'd say the first kind of major world that you go to, Mio has like this katana. She keeps saying, we're cyber ninjas. And I know. And like, again, it's so odd because like I usually love when games are like that they have something to say about genre, you know, like in every Persona world in Persona 5, I was like, I can't wait to see what this world looks like. You know, like, ooh, this one's a casino heist, or this one's like an art gallery heist or something like that. Like every time that happened, I was thrilled. But every time we get to a new world, I'm like, man, this is brutal. You know,
is there a world where the writing in this becomes like B-movie territory, where it's like not necessarily a detriment to the enjoyment of the game, but just puts it in a different sort of category and becomes something that you can enjoy and becomes endearing about it at that point?
I think the voice acting is too good for it to go there.
Gotcha. It's more of a, they are trying to make this serious, but are just missing the mark is what it feels like.
Like when something is campy and bad, I sort of enjoy that because like everything about it is weird.
Yeah.
And that is fun for me. But like, I feel like the game thinks its writing is pretty good. There are moments where it's like they seem to be hamming up the dialogue a little bit. And so it feels like, okay, we're entering into kind of like silly genre territory, you know, like that is present. And again, I wish they were a little bit more deft with that, because I think there could be so many opportunities for this to be like truly actually funny, you know, like, like if they start doing kind of like spoofs of different like big names in the genre, and of course that's, you know, legally harder, but like if you run into hobbits or something like that, and like there's some funny stuff going on there, that could be really fun and interesting. But it more often than not, it kind of feels like, okay, it's the sci-fi one now. No, now it's the fantasy one. There are moments where it is interesting, and they have these sort of like little side missions that you can go on that do usually feel at least a little bit more interesting. And they seem to also be like kind of riffs on other games a lot of time. Like the first one you go into, like you get put in this like kind of odd outfit, and then you start sliding down sand, and there's a lot of like interesting architecture, and then at some point one of the characters says out loud like, oh, it's the sands of time. I'm like, okay, so it's a little Prince of Persia thing happening here.
Sure.
And like, I don't hate that, you know, like it is very self-referential and kind of meta in a way that I know for some people, they're just like allergic to that shit. I don't really mind. I think it's kind of cute and interesting. Plus those side levels they're usually a little bit shorter than the real worlds. And so like, you know, if you hate it, it's not there for very long, but it feels like they're iterating much quicker on ideas in there. But what got me started on this in the first place was just an example of like these mechanics, but which is that in the first like cyber world, Mio has a like katana sword that she can throw at certain parts of the wall that will then invert her
Cyber Ninja world?
In the Cyber Ninja world.
Okay.
And her gravity will shift immediately to being like whatever surface she has hit with the sword is now her down. So like if she throws it on the wall, suddenly she is running on the wall and it's like tilted the whole world on its side for her. Whereas Zoe has this like kind of like gravity whip where she can pull certain things and sort of like hold them in the air and then throw them at other shit. And so, of course, like, you know, puzzles are happening constantly in there of like one of you will be running on the wall and have to hit something that will unlock something for somebody else. And then they have to grab something with their gravity whip to throw it back to you or something like that. And like, to me, that stuff, it just works. It's so much fun to kind of get in there and be like, what do they want me to do here? And you're looking around and finally spot like, oh, I bet I know what I have to do over here. Like, here's this ladder that I have to drop for someone else. And so like, it's an odd game because it, to me, comes with a lot of caveats. But if you're not that interested in the story, it's great. You know, like if the thing that you're there for is just playing a fun video game with someone, like that works. It is still really good. I do just wish the writing was like slightly better or just like either ham it up way more or a lot less.
Sure.
And they're kind of hitting this weird middle ground that feels neither like it's totally aware of the sort of like genre farce that it is taking place in, but also not serious enough. Like they don't have good enough character stuff to really be like super duper interesting. Cause like if the character writing was incredible and I really gave a shit about Mio and Zoe, like I don't care that the worlds are boring. Like, yeah. That's fine. I just care about these two people, but it's not really the case either. Both of them are kind of like, I mean, they're like the characters in It Takes Two, where they're just kind of snarky and mean to each other most of the time.
Bummer.
And like, I know that there are more interesting character moments eventually, like you get to know who these two people are. Yeah. But so far I'm not really compelled to keep playing because of them. It's largely just because like, it's fun to solve these puzzles together.
Gotcha.
I also know, like, I'm pretty sure it's Joseph Fares, the guy who is at the head of this company. He's the guy who said fuck a lot at the Jeff Keighley's E3 or whatever it was.
Lees?
Yeah, you know, like Jeff's game trailer.
Showcase. Gotcha.
Yeah. It could have been the Game Awards too, but Jeff loves to pull him out on stage pretty much every one of these things now. I'm pretty sure he was talking about that, like they really want to make just like a games game, that like they don't want to put a bunch of like multiplayer shit in it and don't want to put a lot of like microtransactions and stuff. And like, I appreciate that. Part of me is always like, I'm sniffing around for like, is that marketing? Are you just doing marketing to like get that group of people who like that?
Sure.
But at the same time, like that is what this video game is. It is just a truly straight down the middle game that doesn't have a lot of extra shit in it. It's just the game. Yeah. And so like, I like that. I appreciate that the product that they have made is that. Yeah. Whether or not, you know, they go on to make a MOBA or like, you know, a hero shooter next year, I don't know. But like, I appreciate the ethos that this game was built with. I think it's interesting at the very least. Yeah. I'm like, I don't love Joseph Fares. I think I do a cuss on a big stage. It's like kind of a boring shtick. But
it's my thing now.
Yeah. He's that guy. But they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is in making these kind of games. Because I know that It Takes Two was like a kind of smash success. It sold a lot of copies.
It did.
And so far, Split Fiction has as well. And so like, I'm happy that at the very least, like this isn't just a totally dead way of making games. And like, you know, as much as I have sort of complaints about some of it, like I hope they keep making these. Like they're interesting games. And I also appreciate the length that they're not like so long that they have to take like 10 years to make one of these. It Takes Two is, I think, 2021, 2022, something like that.
I think so. That sounds right. I think 21.
Yeah. 22? And like, that's not that long ago, you know, like they came out with this game not too far after that one in the scale of modern game development cycles.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
And so like, I like that. I very much would prefer games be smaller and not as long and, you know, can potentially be made in a smaller dev cycle than GTA 6 or whatever.
Truly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's Split Fiction. It's interesting, and if you play the other ones, I bet you'll like this too. But just be aware that the writing in the story is like not the thing here.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah,
it's a game.
Anyway,
it is a video game.
It's a video game. Yeah, you like those? You play those? They're good. And if you like those, I bet you like this one. Anyway, David, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week,
which is
it's local multiplayer. David.
Love it.
They really cooked with that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's their thing, and they do it well. They do it well.
Not even these guys, but just like Smash Brothers, Mario Party, Mario Kart, any game that allows you to play a game with somebody else in the same room, like that's good. That's good stuff.
Absolutely. Agreed. You know, I'm going to sound like such a fucking video game boomer right now. But like having that experience of being with your friends and everyone gets a controller and everyone gets to play a game together was such a central part of childhood for me.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I mean, it looks different now because you can still do that, but you're not in the same room with these people. You're all just at your own house doing it. But there's just something very nostalgic about it and just feels warm and cozy. So yeah, I agree. It's a special thing playing a game with someone else on the same couch as you.
Yeah, it's there's so much more meta competition that goes on.
Oh yeah.
Rather than just the like strictly mechanical competition that you're doing. And like it's also like a tale as old as time, you know, like a lot of home consoles came with 2 controller slots for a long time. I don't think that was true right at the beginning, but like pretty quickly they were like, people want to play this together.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know. I think that's very cool.
Agreed. It is good to play together.
I love to play together. You have something fueling your sense of optimism, David.
Yeah.
What is it?
Mutually assured destruction. Take down your friend.
Yeah, stab them as they stab you.
It's a race to the bottom, and this is, what is it? A 3-legged race. We're together. We're running in the same direction downwards at the same time.
Yeah, it's a sack race, but we're both punching each other as we're trying to jump.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Just a blood feud, the latest battle in this blood feud dating back decades. Got to do it in front of our beautiful other halves. It was great.
Yeah, got to see.
Got to really show out who the big men were.
Yeah, this 30 years of frenemies suddenly coming to the surface.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to get that level of sort of deep-seated frustration, but also like I don't actually want to do harm to this person, but like I will try and beat them in Mario Party.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely a thing.
It's happening right now.
There was like one turn where I think you were coming up on a boo. I had just like gotten a boo bell, or the reverse. One of those happened. And like, we're both just like, well, like we will steal the same star back and forth here in a second. Like,
yeah. $100 to exchange a star from one player to the other.
Yes. Yeah.
The economy was tanked. It
cost both of us 50 coins independently to do nothing. We could have done anything else, and we did nothing instead.
I could have done so much with those 50 coins.
Yeah, a lot.
So much.
Could have bought almost 3 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Just steal my buddy's star, even though I know he's going right back.
Had to do it to him one time.
Sure did.
Do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. Decided to give ourselves a little, just kind of an easy one over home plate, you know? I feel like pinball games are just like, it's a beach. It's very snackable. It is a lounge chair on the beach kind of a game to cover for this segment where like, you know if you like it or not immediately.
It's true. It is an immediate reaction.
Yeah. We got suggested by listener Matt to play Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire. On the topic of this game, Matt had to say, as one of the many kids who grew up obsessed with Pokemon, this game was an absolute staple for me. I always enjoyed pinball, but it wasn't exactly the most accessible game for a 10-year-old, which made this a perfect balance. I picked it up again in quarantine, and I believe it got added to the Switch collection. It's unbelievably easy to pick up and put down. You'll learn the intricacies of the boards pretty quickly. And I just listened to your Kirby Pinball app, which made me think this might be a good one for you all to enjoy. Hey, thank you, Matt, for your suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
It's Kirby Pinball was on my mind when I was playing this as well.
You asked me. You asked me to compare it to Kirby Pinball.
Yes, yeah. Because like the farther I get away from Kirby Pinball, I'm like, damn, that was a banger of a pinball game. Like
it was a
so
good pinball game.
Good.
Yeah.
A lot of shit going on in there. The like ability to do like a good enough jump to get your ball back in really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so like going into this, I was like, I hope it's at least as interesting as Kirby Pinball. And while I don't find it like just, not to bury the lead, I don't find it quite as satisfying as Kirby Pinball. There is a lot of stuff in here that actually is very good.
I agree. There's a lot of things to do. The board is very dynamic.
Yeah. And a lot of Pokemon things specifically, not just pinball stuff,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. But before we get too far, can I hit you with some hot stats about Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire, David?
Please.
Hot stats.
So this one came out August 25th of 2003 in North America for the Game Boy Advanced. This was made by Jupiter, which I was like, we've played something by them before. Mm-hmm. And the answer is we've played two things by them before.
Oh, wow.
David. One of them is The World Ends With You. Oh. And the other one is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
They made The World Ends With You?
They sure did. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, pretty wild. And also like truly like hundreds of Picross games. Like so many Picross games. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if it's making you money, get it, girl. I do have a review of this game from our friends at Jeux Video.
Ooh.
A outlet out of France.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they're from French. Mm-hmm. And I took their review and I ran it through Google Translate a number of times, arriving back out in English to give you just a real nice mangled version, which I'm going to read for you now, David.
Let's hear it.
Despite being smaller than your poor friend's screen and having a fancy GBA name, Pokemon Pinball is still a great addition to the combined software library, taking a pinball game and making it one of the best games of its kind, if not the best, will not be forgotten. It goes beyond simple marketing, and we're really interested. Like everyone said, this is a pickup truck, and they gave that a 7.5 out of 10.
Wait, what?
I would say one of the better endings to a review.
The spirit of Henry Ford possessed Joe Video at the end there. It's just like this is a pickup truck, baby.
This is a pickup truck. Listen, look at this game. That's a pickup truck. You see your shoes? That's a pickup truck. You're thinking too small, baby.
It's an F-150, baby.
Everything is a pickup truck if you're adventurous enough.
If you're American enough, everything's a pickup truck.
Also, weird shade at the beginning saying, despite being smaller than your poor friend's screen. Like, Joe.
I know, right?
Relax.
I know, some SES shaming there.
Yeah, weird shit. Could you tell me what this game is, David? How do you play it?
This is a pinball game, Chase.
End of episode.
It is electronic pinball. If you have played pinball before, which probably most of you have who are listening to this, this is an electronic version of pinball where you're looking down at the pinball machine and you use the flippers, I guess. The singular flap. The flippers to hit the ball around the stage and do different things like hit a muck and catch it, or put your ball into a whaler and spits it back out. That's kind of...
Yeah, if you didn't know what Pokemon was, you might be a little frightening.
Yeah, but yeah, the different things that you can do and hit multiple times, or like hit a certain area 3 times and something will happen. Like a different Pokemon will come down, do something, and the board will change for a bit, or you'll be able to access a new area, or you'll be able to catch another Pokemon. So there's a lot of fun things going on in these levels. They're, like I said, they're pretty dynamic. They change and they definitely give you good indications of where you should be trying to hit the ball to do things and make the level change and get more points. Because that's with any pinball game. You want to get points. You're trying to get the highest score.
They definitely make it very clear, like, what parts of the board are currently, like, interactable.
Yeah.
They have, like, little, like, arrows, essentially, that will flash on and off for, like, hey, you need to be aiming here right now. Mm-hmm. Which in normal pinball, I think they sometimes do. But, like, I think you do also kind of have to learn what board you're playing.
Yeah.
But this one made it very obvious of like, all right, up there is like the evolution thing that's currently blinking. So like if you are able to do it and you have caught a Pokemon already, then you can evolve that Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Catching in this game essentially just means like sometimes if you do enough stuff, there will be like a Pokemon that appears in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
And you have to like both like reveal it in a specific way. Like you have to like do something that will reveal it. There's like different criteria a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then also catch it by like hitting it 3 times with the ball, which is a Pokeball, of course.
Of course.
And then you catch it, quote unquote, which like I was very happy that mechanic was in this game. Like
catching Pokemon.
Catching, yes. Like they
that
could
was
so
in the original
easily
one
just
too.
I think it was, yeah. I don't know if I played the original one.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I thought
that's
for
shocking
sure
to me.
I thought for sure that like we had covered it on the show, but I don't think we have. The only pinball game we've got is Kirby.
I thought we covered it on the show too. Whoa.
Me too. Yeah, no, I don't think it's in there. At least I'm not. It could be. It's also totally possible that like my searching of our backlog is incorrect, and someone would be like, "Yo, on episode 43, you definitely did."
Maybe it was a test episode.
Oh, that could be the case. But so far as I can tell, it's not in there.
Okay, sorry, I cut you off twice. What were you going to say?
Oh, it's just that they could have so easily just put a skin around an otherwise very mundane Pokemon game, Pokemon Pinball, or just a regular pinball game.
Yeah.
And like, that would have been fine, but like, I'm so glad that they decided to like actually integrate some good mechanics that are like representative of the game itself. It's not just like a total cash grab for like, yeah, look, we put Pokemon in your pinball and like, that's good enough, right?
Sure.
But no, they like added catching and like, if you do enough stuff, you can evolve them, which is very cool. Mm-hmm. There's like a Pokemart that you can go into, which is fun.
That is fun. I enjoyed buying items. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And so like, yeah, it was just good. Like I thought this game was like very, I don't know, competent in a weird way.
Yeah, it was very well thought out. In how they were going to give you more than just electronic pinball, but Pokemon electronic pinball, and letting you do things that a regular pinball machine can't do, like go and visit the Pokemart or catch a Pokemon. Right, and what does that look like? How do you do that, right? And how do you make it fun and interesting, and also clear what you are going to be doing and how to do it, right? Because it'd be really easy for this game to just make no sense at all. And I think as someone who had played the original Pokemon Pinball, I think this game really, in comparison to that one, fixes that problem, because that game did have that problem for me personally. I had no idea what the fuck was going on the map. I didn't know how I was doing the things I was doing. I didn't know why a creature would be caught or not caught, or how I would summon it to be like capturable. But in this one, it's clear. I don't know if that is a function of them getting better at making the game, or it's just a function of the GBA having more colors and more polygons to create things and pictures that are clearer to the gamer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought it was, from my recollection of Pokemon Pinball, a definite upgrade and improvement all around. Does it recreate what it did? Or like, not recreate, it does recreate what it did very well and even better than the first one. It doesn't iterate on it too much, right? It doesn't try to change the formula. It's still pinball, but it still makes it very fun and feels like an upgraded version. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely the let's just do it, but a little bit better ethos of some of the games of this era.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. Like, let's just do it well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I whenever I'm looking at like video game pinball games, I want them to do something that wouldn't be possible in normal pinball.
Yeah.
Like I want them to be doing something that like it has to be in a video game for this to work correctly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think like this one does it where like the screens change very regularly, and like maybe you could do that with another pinball game with like the digital like display at some of the top of some of them.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's so much more cohesive when it's done like this, that they can, like any of the time you get transported to another area and it's like, this is a different background, but you still have pinball at the bottom of it. And there is a ball in here that's, I don't know, it just works really well. Mm-hmm. Did you get to any of the bosses in this game?
What were the bosses? Remind me. I think maybe
it was like, you got to like fight Groudon, and I think it's like Duscops or whatever. It's like the ghost Pokemon with like the single eye in the middle of his head.
I did not do that. No.
Yeah, eventually it's like you fight like some of the legendary Pokemon in the game, which is just like, it's very fun. Yeah, I think that's really neat. It's incredibly hard to get there. Like, you have to do quite a bit, but they make it really worth your while. As you essentially catch it at the end of it, you like have to hit them quite a bit. Ooh. And they're doing all sorts of, shit to try and like throw your ball off. But it's cool. I think all of them were pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's neat.
Once again, a nice way to iterate on the game.
Yeah, totally. And something that I think is like that would be pretty hard to do in a physical pinball game. Mm-hmm. Some of them obviously get like very creative, like the actual pinball games get very creative, but like that shit ain't easy, I'm sure we talked about this in the Kirby episode, but like how into pinball are you? How do you feel about pinball?
I enjoy pinball. I would say that if I'm at like a pinball hall, or if I'm even just at a regular arcade and there's a pinball machine, I'm at least always looking.
Sure.
I'm at least always looking. I feel like there is a culture around pinball that I sometimes maybe don't want to dip my toes into. Especially if there's like someone watching me play the pinball machine and they've
tough, yeah.
I've put 10,000 hours on this machine. You're doing it all wrong. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Yeah. But I enjoy pinball. It's fun. There is something very satisfying about the tactileness of it, if that's even a word. Like when you hit the button on the side and you just get that nice thunk of the flipper.
The click of it. Yeah.
Oh, and then pull in the spring back to make the ball shoot out in the beginning. And just the way that it like visually, it just slides so nicely across the table. There's something very almost meditative about playing some pinball.
Yeah. I'm honestly shocked that it exists really at all anymore.
Sure.
It's like such a much more physical game than I would expect there to be like a lot of them out there. You know, I feel like this would be like kind of a parlor trick of a game for the most part.
Sure.
But like there are so many cabinets.
Absolutely.
And like, I feel like if you go to an arcade, like there's a pretty good chance that there will be a pinball machine there.
Yeah. Wasn't there a pinball hall down the street from your house still? Is that still there?
You're talking about Adaball?
I think so.
There's two. There is Adaball. Wow. There's also Icebox Arcade.
Icebox is the one I've been to.
Yeah, that place is very cool. They held like pinball tournaments there pretty regularly.
They're serious about their pinball.
Yeah, for sure. I also agree that like I am still pretty low on the skill ceiling of pinball. Like,
yes.
Sometimes I'll see somebody playing and I'm like, I am so far away from being able to do what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sheer ability to like control where the ball goes consistently is just like not something I can do.
Ball placement. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I ain't got that shit. I ain't got that dog in me, that specific breed of dog.
I got Chihuahua.
Yeah, I got Pug in there.
I got Pug in me.
That... But yeah, like I feel like I'm like just one rung above like just a casual outsider enjoyment of pinball. Like there are machines that I like to play and ones that I return to pretty regularly and like feel like not too bad at them usually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that didn't really make me any better at this one specifically.
Yeah.
It's still pretty wild or challenging for me, I should say. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I think like of the pinball games I've played, that this is like a very fun version of that.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good time. And like, and I think as the listener, the person who suggested it, pick it up, put it down, no problem.
Extremely easy to just like play a round of it.
Exactly.
Is like remarkably satisfying and like, you know, just easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
I also will say the speed runs of this game are incredible.
There's speed. How do you beat the game?
You just like have to like try to like build it up in a way such that you get there's like one specific Pokemon I think you're trying to get. It's like one of those like little weird like baby looking Pokemon.
Oh,
Jirachi I think is the one that I'm thinking of. Is that it? Yeah, Jirachi. I think like that is the definition of beating the game.
Uh-huh.
And like some people have done it in like 3 or 4 minutes. It's like nothing.
Dang, that's wild. That's so fast.
Unbelievable. It's so fast. Yeah. I think it like a lot of speedruns, some of it is luck, but it's still, you know.
If you like hit a specific part of the level like 3 times in a row, does Jirachi come like clipping through somewhere or something?
I think you just have to like get a little bit lucky in that like he shows up.
Gotcha.
When you do. There are also speedruns, but they're like catch every Pokemon in the Pokedex in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And those are a lot longer. They're like 5 to 6 hours. So a little bit different of an experience there.
Yeah. Okay.
It is cool that they have so many Pokemon in this though. Like it isn't just like you got 10. There's like a lot of Pokemon in there.
It's true.
Which I like.
Gotta catch
not
them
very
all.
much Pokemon. You do have to catch them all. Not very much Pokemon battling, which I would love to see in like maybe another Pokemon pinball game. But still,
that'd be fun. You have to like hit a certain part of the pinball machine to do a specific move, and you're just like, "Fuck, I did Leer again. Damn it."
Yes, yeah, exactly. That would be cool. You're just on the Pokemon screen, like the fight screen, and also there's pinball at the bottom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire?
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Good way of making electronic pinball feel like more than just regular old pinball, which I think is important if you're going to do this, right?
Anyway, thank you, Matt, for your suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to interact with the podcast a little bit more, you can do so on podtimism.com. It is the website that Chase has lovingly created for this podcast. On there, you can look up old episodes and games that we have talked about. You can look at the beautiful thumbnail art that Chase has made for the game. You can also suggest a game for us to cover in the future. We will get there. We have a lot, but we will talk about it in some way, shape, or form on this podcast if you suggest it to us. So yeah, go on there. We love it when we get a new email saying that someone suggested something. It's great.
It's very fun.
Also on the website, there is a link to the worst garbage Discord server, right? So it's a pretty sweet place to go and hang out and talk about games and other things like pop culture and stuff like that. Yeah. You can go there and there's a little spot for Podtimism, but there's also Can't Let It Go, .zip, Flow State, Frog of the Week, Girl Mode, Into the Aether, and some Paws and Claws, and some other new ones that are popping up all the time. So yeah, head over there and check it out. It's a good time.
Check it totally out.
You can also check out Scout's page, co-fi.com. She made our beautiful podcast art. If you want to see if she has any commissions open, you can go there. Or you can just go there and appreciate some more cool art that she's done. So yeah, check it out. And lastly, thank you, listener, for spending your time here. It's pretty cool that you are here listening to us talk about video games. We do it. Yeah. We do it with or without you. And it's cool that you're here. And we did it this weekend. So yeah, it's pretty cool that people want to hear us shoot the shit about these things. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you being here. It's great.
Yeah. Chase, do you have any video game wisdom for the week?
Yeah, man. Get a good night's sleep. It's so important.
Absolutely.
To sleep. I we indulged this weekend a little bit, and my sleep from Saturday to Sunday was pretty bad, and yesterday still continued. I think I was just I was having one of those nights where I was like, I don't want to go to bed yet. I want a little bit more weekend, and if I stay up, then I can get more weekend. You know?
Yeah.
But that meant that I'm eepy today.
Eeping it up.
Yeah. Just go to sleep.
Go the fuck to sleep.
Go the fuck to sleep. Here's the Manga Minute at the very last minute here. Whoa. By the way.
Okay.
Hey, it's the Manga Minute. It's the minute where I've got a minute to talk about manga. Let's see if I can actually let me pull up a timer here. I want to hold myself to that. I usually don't, but let's do this one. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. I am reading One Punch Man. Good as hell. The art in there, absolutely fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable, the quality of that stuff. Action is so readable, so cool. I love the conceit of One Punch Man. It is so good and so interesting to me that there's just this god among men who could end anything at any point. Yeah. And it's just kind of up to him whether or not he actually does it or not, or if he's focused enough to end the problem quick enough. So all that it fucking works. It's so good. I'm probably essentially through what would be season 2 of the anime.
Cool.
So not super far in. I've got 10 more seconds. One Punch Man is great. I wish Tornado was not quite as sexualized as she is, but here we are. And King is the best. All right. That's a minute.
In Murata's defense, everyone is hot in that one. Everyone gets their moment to be sexualized, but it is the Fubuki and Tatsumaki who are consistently on the covers of the volumes where he's just doing some wild shit.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Yeah, but you're right. It is equal opportunity. So it's not it is just one specific person, but do we gotta?
It's still there.
Do we gotta?
It's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point being, I love to read a manga and go to bed. It's one of my favorite parts of the day, and I thought I would never say that because going to the bed is not easy for me. But with manga, it's easier, not so bad.
Does this go along with your wisdom of the week, or does this go against your wisdom of the week? Is manga keeping you up at night? Are you staying up late reading manga when you should be sleeping?
No, mercifully, I've got I think I've said this before. I've got the TikTok girly set up with the iPad holder and the clicker that I don't even have to touch the iPad to move the page over. And I fall asleep so easily in that position. It is not keeping me up. I will pretty quickly just pass out in that position. I think the thing that is keeping me up is my own desire to not go to bed. If I just get in the goddamn bed at 10, I'll fall asleep by 11.
You can't make me.
The problem is, yeah, I gotta do it to myself. So,
yeah.
Lordy, learn my lesson, I guess. Anyway, we'll see you next week, gamers.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
PWG, the worst garbage. Online.